It's starting to get really hot outside, and as summer rolls around, I put my steaming jug underneath the table and start making my favorite iced coffee drinks. You can do all of the following recipes with either an espresso machine or a Moka Pot, which is why I'm going to be using my Rock Espresso Maker, which is much easier to use and takes way less time to heat up than a normal espresso machine. Let's start off with my favorite go-to iced coffee drink, which is a blended ice cafe frappe. This is an absolutely delicious drink, and all you have to do is take everything that would normally go into an iced latte, put it in a blender, and blend it together. Somehow, without adding any sugar or cream or anything, it gets really creamy and smooth and delicious, and it's so good in summer. The most important thing to get right here is the ratio. So I use about 200 milliliters of ice cold milk straight from the fridge with a 30-gram shot of espresso and ice cubes about this size. Make sure you stop and start the blender and go long enough so that it's actually blended together rather than getting little bits of ice in there. You'll see what I mean when you give this a try. You wouldn't have thought that iced coffee would be so deliciously smooth just by blending it together. Okay, my next delicious summer coffee drink is one that I use when I need something, I haven't had time in the morning to get my coffee, and I want something I can put in my thermos just to go. Of course, I'm talking about cold brew. Cold brew is absolutely amazing when done right, but horrific when done poorly. So I'm going to show you my recipe, and hopefully you can use this at home to get a really delicious cold brew coffee. I'm thinking about doing a whole other video on cold brew coffee alone, so if that's something you want to see, make sure you're subscribed and tell me in the comments that that's something you want to know about. My basic recipe is this. I take 60 grams of coarsely ground coffee and put it into a big vessel like this one with a liter of cold water poured in on top. Mix it up with a spoon or something and put it in the fridge overnight. In the morning, take it out and pour it through a pre-wetted filter. You can use your normal Chemex or V60 filter, they'll work perfectly fine. If you don't have paper filters, because you don't generally brew coffee this way, you can just pour the coffee and strain it through a cheesecloth or some muslin, and that way you'll get all of those little grounds of coffee out. I just generally prefer paper filters because they get rid of all those little grounds of coffee which don't taste very nice and add a kind of horrible texture to the end of your coffee. And there you go, that's all there is to it. Just pour that cold brew into a big jug and it'll keep in the fridge really nicely for a few days and taste absolutely amazing. This is really great when you need a delicious, amazing coffee drink that doesn't take much time to prep in the morning. My next one is a banoffee smoothie. I've talked about this on my channel before, and I will link to the other video I made about it up here, but you definitely need to try this. It's one of the most underrated coffee drinks ever. It's absolutely delicious and smooth and sweet, and you don't need to add any sugar. The banana gives you plenty of sweetness, and it's nice and cold for the summer. Here's a simple rundown of how you make a banoffee smoothie. Take your freshly brewed espresso, get a banana and 2 scoops of ice cream, and then pour your espresso on top. Then add 150 mils of ice cold milk. It's totally optional, but at this point, if you want to add 1/4 teaspoon of xanthan gum, it will thicken the mix up and make it a little bit more creamy. Mix it all up in your blender and then you can pour it straight into a glass. If you want to be extra fancy, you can add a little dusting of cocoa powder on top. Now I know this video has been non-sweet drinks because I generally don't like sugar in my coffee, but I'm going to give one for everyone out there, which is an amazing coffee dessert that everybody loves, which is affogato with homemade vanilla ice cream. I always make my vanilla ice cream the same way. I use 1 cup or 240 mils of heavy cream and mix that with half that amount of cold milk. Add 1/4 cup or 40 grams of sugar and put this all into a heavy bottomed pan. Heat it up until the sugar is dissolved into the mix. Now you have 3 egg yolks in a separate bowl, and I want you to pour a little bit of your milk mixture into there and mix it all together with a whisk. You need to do this so that it doesn't scramble the eggs when you pour them straight into the hot milk mix. Now put your egg and a little bit of the milk mixture back into the saucepan now that it's heated up. Keep whisking on a medium-low heat until it starts to thicken. Once this custard base starts to look thick, immediately transfer it to an ice bath, which is a bowl inside another bowl with some ice and water underneath. That way you'll cool down the mixture immediately and stop it from scrambling. When it's cooled down in the ice bath for a little bit, you put it into the fridge for at least 4 hours covered with cling film or saran wrap. you need to put it in your fridge for at least 4 hours, because otherwise when you put it in the ice cream maker, it won't have cooled down sufficiently and you'll end up with a goo rather than a soft cream. Once your custard mix has rested in the fridge for at least 4 hours, take it out and add your vanilla. Now I use a vanilla paste, but you can also use vanilla beans. It's much better than vanilla extract because you get those little black dots that make it look very artisanal. You can pick up an ice cream maker in the UK from Amazon for about £30, and I'll leave a link to one in the description. Now that you've made your homemade vanilla ice cream, what I recommend you do is put your cups in the freezer along with the ice cream for a little while before you make your affogato. Put 2 scoops of your homemade vanilla ice cream into the frozen cup and put this directly under where you extract your espresso. The espresso should go directly onto the cold ice cream in the frozen cup. This makes the most delicious combination of flavors and the perfect temperature to have your affogato. So those are all my favorite coffee drinks to have during summer. If you liked any of them, then please share this video with a friend so they can try it out too, leave a like, and make sure you're subscribed to see more coffee videos coming as soon as I can make them. Thank you so much for watching, and see you on the next one. About 200 mils of that, along with a 30-gram shot. It's called a shot, you friggin' noob. Clean my glasses. Boom. Milk. 2 scoops of delicious vanilla ice cream. And, no, not delicious. And not everything has to be delicious.